All right, Internet, taking a quick look at Cole Redalen here, who is not on my radar, but apparently should be. This is in response to a question from my Discord. If you're not on there, head over to the Patreon, sign up for some coaching, and we'll get you on the Discord. There's a bunch of cool folks on there asking good questions about disc golf form, and this guy came up. So first of all, style points for wearing rainbow tie-dye sweatshirts. Totally into that. So someone in the Discord said that he modeled his form after Drew Gibson. I would buy that based on one really solid thing that Drew does that Cole also does that I really like. Yeah, so let's jump into it. The first thing that I notice with his throw, and people said he has like nice, slow, deliberate footwork. This step here is very much on a 45 forward. Folks have asked if that's okay. Apparently, yes, it is okay. But then he takes a pretty big X step, which we don't tell beginners to do very often. But then he gets this foot back on a 45. But he's one of the elite players that can do that and get away with it. And that's allowing him to load his hip deeper, which I actually really like in this case because of the way he does it. So the biggest thing I think he copied from Drew is, so here's center point where his feet are both crossing the center line. And then after that, look how aggressively he sends his rear hip, I mean in this case targetward, because he has his toe almost all the way back now. But he's doing the Mike Malaska thing, right? So real quick, the Mike Malaska thing is ball golf. Mike Malaska, ball golf coach. So we're hitting that way because ball golf happens backwards. So he cues, we don't want to rotate our hips. Our hips are not designed to rotate. Our hips are designed to move in straight lines because the knee creates one arc, the hip creates another arc, and when you combine those two arcs, you get a piston that goes straight up and down. Hips are very good at pushing straight squats, right? That's what hips are designed to do. So this is not a motion we have a lot of good muscles for. So all we need to do to have a good ball golf swing is make this piston operate by having the front hip move backwards. Front hip, it's their rear hip, having the rear hip move backwards. So you just think about moving the hip socket that way, right? So that creates my backswing. All I'm going to do is move that hip back, and it informs how my spine and my shoulders are going to move. Then all I'm going to do to create a downswing is have this hip move back. Boom. Notice how I get lag, right? Hip back, lag, hip back, lag. That's all you need. So it's two pistons firing in sequence. Boom, boom. Same thing in disc golf. This piston fires, boom, and then this piston fires, boom. Creates torque around the center rather than torque on the front axis, right? We don't want our axis of rotation to include the front leg and throw spinning out. We want the front leg to be static. So this is going to be here and lock up and load. All the rotation is going to happen, boom, above the front leg. And then the front leg opens up on the follow through. So that's what Cole's doing that I really like, that not a lot of other players are doing. And Drew Gibson does that too. He has a ton of hip coil after he crosses center point where his 2 feet are together. Then from there, his reach back position is a little bit suspect, but obviously it's working for him. Right, so he's reaching straight back, which a lot of people say you shouldn't do. But as long as you can drive the elbow forward fast enough that you get a good pocket, if not a deep pocket, that's, I think, maybe one thing he could do to add distance is get a deeper pocket. But he has so much snap from his hips that he doesn't really need to. So he's keeping his elbow driving forward. And then his brace is active enough that his hips have switched sides here. He has a good counterbalance in his rear leg, counterbalancing his hyzer. And then the disc comes out. I assume he has to be throwing something very overstable here because of the shot shape. But it comes out on a lot of hyzer. And then even though he's throwing up, which would decrease airspeed, thing still turns over, drifts right late, and then I know it's overstable because it catches the wind and starts fading back left. So he has plenty of power, that's probably a distance driver. And he's turning it over, throwing it uphill, which is even harder. Yeah, so he's solid. I think the biggest takeaway is the way he loads his hips from here. So from here forward, he's going to load that hip even more. It's the Alaska thing, but he's doing it towards the target because he's getting so much hip and shoulder turn. So you see that, like, let me slow him down. Go to quarter speed, back up a little bit. So watch how his left hip jolts into more coil while he's driving off his X step. Right here. Bam. Play that a couple times. So he's turning his belt buckle further backwards. He gets it to like pointed 180 degrees backwards. And that's happening while he is driving off his X step. Right, so let's pop over to the Discord. Where was this? This was in forum questions. Blade posted a clip because Blade has clips of everything somehow. Okay, how do I do this? I need to move this over here, maximize it, and then maximize that. Yay, internet, we did it. Okay, so this is a clip from, I would assume, Cole's Insta. And I have to click and pause it because it's Instagram. So, but here we can see the same things. First foot on a 45 if it's in frame. Second foot, big old X step, kind of a little bit of a hop. And that foot gets turned on more than a 45. He does put the heel down, which I wouldn't recommend if you're not throwing elite distance already. So he's just more aggressively loading that rear leg. And then from here, he does the Alaska thing, torques the rear hip towards the target even more, shifting from behind. Oh, he didn't there. I had my clicky pausey wrong. See if I can get it this time. So here he's driving there. He's driving the hip backwards. So from here, hip goes towards the target even more. Bam. Loading that rear hip very aggressively. He's at pretty much peak reach back. No, he should still extend more from here. His elbow should straighten. Yep. And then he bounces. And then he's doing a little bit of flat from hyzer because his elbow is dipping and his elbow axis is here. Right? Let me draw that. His axis is here, so that's off the plane, which is fine because he's trying to throw flat from hyzer intentionally or subconsciously, one of the two. I wish I had frame by frame on this one. So he bounces in the back like Drew, but not as close to full extension, which is probably better for your elbow. And then I need frame by frame to prove that he's throwing flat from hyzer here. Can I do frame by frame by clicking? Oh, I can scrub like this. Yeah, sure, that's frame by frame. Yeah, so that's flat from hyzer because his disc is flat and his upper arm is on a different plane. And now it's not letting me scrub that way. So he does kind of catch up to the hyzer tilt. So he's doing a little bit of flat from hyzer, but he doesn't have a lot of external shoulder rotation to keep it flat. So why would he do that? Let's work through that for a second, which could go horribly wrong. So he's here, right? I would assume he's going to throw flat from hyzer, but he doesn't. He, at the last moment, evens up. So he probably has a little bit of elbow rise. Go watch the form review I did for Blitz, the 45-minute long one. Blitz was doing the same thing. So he's coming through here, and then at the last instant, the elbow starts to rise up on the plane, and that flips the disc. So it's a micro version of suitcasing, right? Drew Gibson reaches back like this, and then flips up. So Cole is doing the same thing. He's just not starting here. He's starting here, which is still relatively suitcase. So that's releasing tension from the elbow. And then at the last minute, it flips up to the hyzer angle. So from a back view, he's pulling through here to keep tension out of the elbow so that you can pull through more aggressively. And then at the last moment, it, boom, flips up to his hyzer angle. So that's what that's about. Yeah, dude is throwing excellently. I should go watch some coverage and see how he's doing on the course. But yeah, he's a great model of the throw. So go watch Cole, and nice work, Cole. All right, see you next time, Internet.